Welcome to Cinema Discussions. My name is John. I am joined by Vaughan.
Senior conspiracy correspondent.
Yeah, that works for this one. Today we are discussing Snowden, the new Oliver Stone movie.
The new pseudo-documentary.
Yeah, well, biopic. Biographical political thriller is what they call it.
Yeah.
Kind of works for this. So even though it's true events in recent history, we're gonna discuss our recommendations before we get into any spoilers.
Yeah.
As much as you could spoil things that happen, but a lot of people don't pay attention. So, you know.
So this is the second movie of a string of movies that are coming out very recently that are sort of pseudo documentary, biopic movies. Because the first there was Sully. Yeah. There's this one, Snowden, and there's one coming out soon about Deepwater Horizon, the oil rig.
Yes, that'll be interesting.
That one from the trailer seems a little more like they're going to kind of rewrite what happened.
Yeah, because I mean that's something that's built forever and ever and ever, and they're going to try to make some heroes in there, and I don't know if they can make any heroes in that story, but I mean we'll see when that movie comes out. I can't just have to prejudge.
So much like Sully, I had some hesitation about coming to see Snowden. That it was going to be something that it's both in recent history but different from Sully in that this story for Snowden is still essentially ongoing.
Yeah, that was the weird thing before coming to see this movie.
Yeah,
for me it was that it's a story. How are you going to end it? Because there's currently not an ending.
I mean, because this really happened like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing about this story for me is that Citizen 4, the documentary, which got at least the Academy Award nomination. I know it should have won. I don't remember if it did. But that one, it was so good and had the cameras there with you. So if you wanted to see what happened, that pretty much got it. So I was skeptical going into it because of that one. However, I'm really interested in the topic of Snowden. So that got me into the theater for it. And I think that kind of goes along with my recommendation for it. And that is to say, if you are really into the topic, then this will give you a little more information than Citizen 4 did. But the moments that cover the same time period as Citizen 4, it's not going to be as good as that, because it's not going to be as good as seeing the actual thing in the dramatic reenactment of it, where they kind of over-dramatize certain elements.
Well, this one kind of picks up not too long before he first applies to join the CIA.
Yeah, I mean, well, they start the story. It's kind of a bookend story, so they start it with the beginning of. We start with the story of him where it starts in Citizen 4, where he's already talking to the journalists about the information, and then you flash back as they're asking him about his past, and we get to learn more about him.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's tough to recommend this film outright to anyone, but I think if you're really interested in Edward Snowden, this is going to be a thing for further information. If you've already seen Citizen 4, if you haven't seen Citizen 4, I still recommend that one first. Maybe I don't know. You might be able to watch this one first and then see Citizen 4 afterwards to get further information. I think that regardless, I don't think this one should be watched without that one at all. But whether you watch it first or second, I don't think really matters.
Okay.
Not super much. I mean, it's just that Citizen 4 can just give you a more true picture of it because it's an actual biography. It is told from one point of view, just like this movie. But it's
well, that'll be a spoiler discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would agree with that. It's not a rush out and see it. It's not a mind-blowing movie, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's a pretty important topic for the time.
Oh yeah,
as Oliver Stone is wont to do as well. He's a political guy, and this is a big topic at the time, not just of what Snowden did, but also what the NSA did, and what our government did and continues to do. So, it's an important thing, and also I think the film holds up well as a movie. Oliver Stone's a good filmmaker in my eyes, so he does a good job with the material. So yeah, I give a hesitant recommendation to it, and not rush out into the theaters, but it's still a good one to check out at some point. So now should we get into our spoiler alert?
Spoilers.
All right, so what'd you think? What are your thoughts on the biasness of it? Since you brought that up already.
Yeah, so they definitely have Snowden being the hero of the story, which he certainly was in real life.
In my eyes, yeah. There's lots of people who think not. So.
Contrary to the one-handed bias of it, I thought the other characters who were established, government people, who are very pro-government, pro-surveillance, pro-security.
Yeah.
They did give those guys a lot of good dialogue.
They're not really painted as monsters in this.
No.
They have good motivations for what they're doing.
Oh,
and I like the one guy who was his kind of mentor. Well, he had a couple of mentors, but his main boss mentor, not the Nicolas Cage.
The guy who put him in the school?
Yeah.
Corbin.
And he was the way he talks about being a patriot doesn't necessarily mean you agree with what you do, but doing your job to the your best of the thing. And
and he also makes the very common argument of that people want security over freedom,
and that's a big debate that's
it's still going on.
It has been there forever since the birth of America.
I'll give the writers credit. They really did word and frame that freedom security argument very well through that character's dialogue. Better than most people have. I agree that I think Oliver Stone didn't do it it wasn't so biased as people expected it to be. The only thing that I think is that I think people who are looking for a balanced look at the story, they're looking for Snowden to be they're being showing something about him being an enemy of the state in this, and him doing something he shouldn't be doing. I think that's what some people are looking for. And to me, there's no real way to tell that in the story. Like there's no way to portray that when it's not just a complete lie, because he's not. Yeah, like, he goes through his whole journey through being a government employee.
Yeah, and
he has to change his mind on a lot of things to get to where he gets to.
And his reasoning behind everything, that's just you need to he wanted to present to the American people what the government was doing and let them decide on it, what actions to take from that point, because they're ignorant to the fact that they're being spied upon, which in his view in his interpretation of the Constitution is anti-constitutional of what they're doing. He said this doesn't seem right, and I super related to it. I worked for a big evil corporation for a while, and they were doing horrible things. And it was the thing where I had to bring it up to them at least and say, I talked to them and said that I was generally concerned for the customers of this, and said that you're doing these things that the customers are getting screwed over and losing their homes because of flaws in your system. So I think those need to be fixed. And my supervisors said that in time you'll learn not to care about the customers. And that line is kind of said in this film of just, in time you learn not to think about the people in this. And it's just...
Oh, yeah. There was another NSA guy at the Hawaii station. They were talking about watching drone strikes on people in real time. He's kind of referring to those.
Yeah, and I think it's... the talking about the drone strikes, just like poof, gone, all that stuff, and just going about your day, and the next day you go to work and do the same thing, and it just don't let it phase you. And that's the kind of way that this unnamed company, Bank of America, that I don't want to name because I don't want to give people in trouble that think of Bank of America as this horrible company that doesn't care about their customers. But
yeah, never heard of them.
they have the word bank in their name, so I mean that kind of gives it away that they're terrible. But so that's where they want their employees to get to, is the point where you're not thinking about the customers as people, you're just thinking about them as numbers on a page. And I couldn't do that. So I completely related with Snowden in that way, where you're just looking at this and be like, this isn't just data that you're collecting here. These are people's lives, and you're greatly affecting this stuff and spying on these people.
Just the absurd amount of things they can tap into in real time.
As when he first learns about the X-Core
X key score.
X key score program, and they're looking at, I can get in their Facebook account, like, that's kind of interesting, and what's this video on this YouTube? No, this is their webcam.
Oh yeah, this is their computer.
They don't even know it's on right now.
It doesn't have a light.
Dear God. And one of the most plot crucial to the plot sex scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Like that, it's not just gratuitous because they're having sex, and they put that in there, and he looks over,
notices the webcam is there,
and starts freaking out with that, realizing that this is all, someone could be watching this right now, and was watching that. I mean, he finds later that they've been spying on everything.
That may have been before they were actively watching.
Yeah.
In any case,
but in any case, he knows that they're being spied on in that case.
Yeah.
And that's just,
he knows it could be on right now.
Yeah. So I like that was actually essential to the plot there. I really like the backstory that we get from this. Have you seen Citizen 4?
No.
Documentary? Yeah, it's super good. It starts at the hotel room in China when he's meeting with the reporters, and goes from there to Russia till when he gets in Russia, but mostly covers the hotel room story of him working with the newspaper, with the journalists, and trying to make sure that all of the information it can get out to the public in the best way without giving any personal information, anything that can jeopardize assets in the field or anything like that. The way that like WikiLeaks just put everything out there and endangering people. He wanted to be careful with it. He just wanted to get the information out there and prove, not just say the government's spying on everyone. He wanted to actually have evidence to prove the government is spying on everyone, and not just foreign people, but within the government. And not just the American government. He talked about the British government doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've been intelligence allies with them since World War II.
Yeah. And I remember those, I think we got more coverage of the British government doing things than at first we got of the American government doing things, kind of hidden in there. As is want to do. So that's kind of what that documentary shows. And this is this was good to get all of the rest of the information out there about how he came about that. It started that CIA stuff was really interesting because it kind of is like a spy movie. Because he's actually doing field work and stuff, and
not very well, but he did.
No, and it's low stakes kind of stuff, but it's still field work kind of stuff. What were some of your favorite moments in the film, or things that
hard to pick one that really stood out. Overall, it was good for Oliver Stone. Nothing mind blowing in it. Probably nothing we wouldn't already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the pacing of it was pretty good on it. I think one of the only problems I had in the actual execution of it, when they were showing some of those scenes, in the hotel room, like Zachary Quinto yelling at him, being like, "You need to do such thing," like that in the documentary that never occurred. So like he never.
Well, that would have been one of my other questions. Is like, how much of this really did happen?
Yeah, and it was just that of I don't remember anyone yelling at them in the hotel room.
And
so.
that was kind of the same thing that happened in Sully too.
Yeah. So it's that they like to show people getting angry, I guess.
Because you got to make something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but other than that, I think it decent job with it. It's made it cost $40 million to make, and it's made $11 million. So it's trucking along there. But I don't think it's going to get a lot of the same esteem that it could get. Especially with, I mean, at least for critically, we've already seen the documentary that got the all the awards season talking about it. So critics are going to compare it to that. It's also interesting too because Joseph Gordon-Levitt stars in this one, and I think he does a great job in it. But he also recently did Man on Wire, which is the film version of the documentary. Forget the name now. The Walk. Man, he did The Walk, which is the documentary. Which is a biographical version of Man on Wire, which was the documentary.
Okay.
So this is the second film he's done in so many years of a critically acclaimed documentary,
a more dramatic retelling of a documentary.
Yeah, and so
kind of weird.
I've heard from critics and other audiences that aren't interested in this movie because they've already seen the documentary done so well. So they're like, well, why do I want to see a less accurate version of it then? So that's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, I like that it's in there. I like the Snowden cameo at the end in this film too.
They had the actual guy.
Yeah,
I thought it was kind of odd.
Well, to me, it made it. It kind of was like a seal of approval on it. To me,
kind of legitimizing.
Because I was wondering going into this, like, all right, how is this going to be? Is this going to be true to what Ed Snowden thinks about, like, is what actually happened, or are they going to be taking a lot of things out of context? And just in that scene alone, it makes me think that it's probably pretty accurate. At least more so than
more accurate than not.
Yeah, it at least signs off a little bit in it. And I also like that he talks about in there saying that he gets asked why he chose to go to Russia. Like, I did not. It was I was trying to go to South America and then got passport revoked and stuff. So you kind of are stuck where you're at. I liked. It was interesting to see Nicolas Cage in this. I had just recently watched World Trade Center, another Oliver Stone movie about historical events, and Nicolas Cage was in that one, and there were some moments in it where he was very. When he was screaming in some parts in World Trade Center, it reminded me of Wicker Man, and in like a bad way. Like it's not his fault necessarily because he's just trying to do this emotional thing, but it's this real story that's very heartfelt, and that's the only moment where you're just like pulled out because it's Nicolas Cage doing that. Yeah. So in this movie, he doesn't even he's perfectly like normal kind of guy.
Yeah.
But it's only that I had just seen that, and now I'm thinking about this performance that now is reminding me of this other performance. So seeing Nicolas Cage in the film at all, just it's like this is a little weird, but he's good in it. He's good. It's just my own prejudice, and I used to love Nick Cage too, and I still think he does a lot of great performances. Oh yeah, but. That kind of is on just that wrong timing for me to see it. But I like the character because that I really love like the Enigma typewriters and their coding and stuff. And I thought that was cool to see Snowden into that, and then learning they're doing the programming thing and being super quick at it. Like, you don't need to tell me when you finish the section. No, I finished the whole thing. What?
What? Did I throw down?
So I think that I like learning more about Snowden in that way. I think it if in any way like more humanized him for me, and I already liked him a lot anyway, so this just made him even cooler.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked what it did in there. I didn't know. I had to look later online because it didn't show in the documentary how as much about how the reporters met with Snowden for the first time. So when he's holding the Rubik's Cube in his hand and like fiddling around with it as he's meeting them, and then it shows it has the email that he writes to them saying, oh, you'll know me because I am holding this.
Oh, that was the email that sets up the
meeting.
Okay.
So but he's got this cube in there, and I remember it from all the trailers that he's got the cube and he hides the SD card in the cube and stuff. And I was like, I don't remember that from the documentary, and it seems a little like they're trying to up something in there and like make it a sneaky thing.
Yeah, they're trying to make the actual stealing of data something more interesting than it was.
Yeah, but then I don't know about how he got the data out there. I don't know if he passed the cube off to the guard the way they did to get it around it, which is possible. It's like
like
cool
sure,
thing.
I guess why not?
But
the machine was there to detect any kind of.
As far as I read later,
device.
he did have the cube when he met them. Like he that was the sign or one of the signs for how he would meet them. So at least that's accurate. Since I hadn't seen that before, it was a little like, is this real? Or are they just making this up?
Yeah, he's also lucky that the Rubik's Cubes weren't any more popular. There could have been a second person there with one.
Yeah. I also like all the coworkers he worked with, especially in Hawaii, and seeing their concern for it as well as he's bringing it up to them, and saying and looking at how the data collection, the heat map of the data collection that he puts up there. So they're all concerned too, and it doesn't show the other coworkers as going along with it as much. Like they're as much concerned about it. They're still like they're not taking the action to turn state's enemy on it or anything, but they know it's a risk thing. But they kind of portray it as they're aware that he's up to something, but they know that the less they know, the better for their sake. But they're not hindering him. They're even helping him in ways, just slightly, like covering up the data thing or saying, hey, you should go visit your family out stateside. And share my money if you did this. And like just helping him out in those ways. And so I thought that was cool. And also when he said, I left a trail that would lead back to me because I didn't want there to be a manhunt at my office with all my coworkers. So he kept showing like how much concern he took with his coworkers and how much his coworkers were with him, and that it's really just it's not everyone on the lower levels that's part of this that's encouraging this. It's mostly some of the people up at top who are in it, like the guy who lied on the stand, which is also shown in Citizen 4. That the same clips that they show in this one.
For this one they borrow a lot of the stock footage from back then.
Well, they show the actual news footage, which is just great because you can't make something up that's better than that. It was just him lying, but so in the documentary you're seeing him lying on the stand, and you're told afterwards like you're shown the information to show that he's lying. But to see it in this context where you're having the people who are working on this secret program who know that that's going on because they're doing it, watching the news footage of him denying that this is going on. It gets a good context for it in there. And then so the end of it where they start showing like how the news coverage is reacting and how different politicians react to it, and showing Trump saying he should be executed, or at least suggesting, not directly, but suggesting he should be executed. You have Hillary Clinton still saying that he needs to be held responsible for what he did and brought to trial. And so at least that's like just trial, not as bad as straight up execution. And then you get Bernie Sanders saying, like, he did a good thing and bringing this to our attention. And it's like, why don't we have that guy in the race there? Like, I keep hoping that at the end of Obama's term, he pardons Snowden. I really want that. I think he has a possibility that he could do it. He could be on the side for that. Because it's a tough thing. I mean, yeah, he should be, for just doing those things, there should be a trial brought up in the same way that Sully was brought before the board. It's that thing, like, you should address it at least officially to know, like, this is what went on. But it's a pretty, at least by public opinion, well, you know, depends on how you get your information, but I think it's a noble thing he did, and he did it in the best way that he could. Again, they say the thing of, he's on the one hand, he signed these agreements to not give the information out that he's made privy to by his job, and on the other hand, there's the Constitution, and like, well, this is violating that. So how do I'm either ignoring the Constitution on here and willingly violating the Constitution, or I willingly violate this contract I've agreed to, and it's just which one's more important to you. At that point. So that's the decision he made, and I value his decision on that one. So we'll see how the story actually ends, but I think it does. It ties up at least the story that we've got so far, and in the same way that the documentary does. This is his entire story of his work with the CIA and the NSA through contracting. And so in so much as that, the ending on this one is him releasing the data, and through a little while after that. It did, through him getting away, at least, because that's the releasing the data has now got the trail on him, and a little bit of news coverage, gets to Russia, can't go anywhere from there, and is stuck. So the only other conclusion you could have to this is if he comes back for a trial, or if he's taken out by someone, or if he lives in Russia for the rest of his days. Like, there's a couple endings to the story-wise, regardless of whatever he does with the rest of his life, where that's it. And so as soon as he is done with when the U.S. government, the U.S. judicial system is done with him, as far as sentencing him or pardoning him, or when the trial is concluded, that's the end of the story. But for Oliver Stone's sake, as wanting to make this movie, how long are you going to wait for that to happen? It could be there forever. It could never come to a trial. And in which case, then now you're waiting. Oliver Stone's much older than Snowden is, so he's never going to get a chance to make that movie. And there's an audience for the movie, and it's recent in our minds. So I don't begrudge them for making the movie at the time that they did. So I think it works. So, any other thoughts on the film?
Like the ending montage. There's different little clips and photographs of people. Because it's a movie and you kind of have to do it. They got both JGL and Melissa Leo, the girlfriend.
No, the girlfriend was
the actress.
Yeah, she was. What's her name now? Because Melissa Leo was Laura Portora. Shailene Woodley was Lindsay Mills. Okay, I read the credits wrong.
So they made both of them to be portrayed by more attractive actors than they are in real life.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because that's normal.
I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a pretty close match to him in there, at least the way that they showed him in this one. I think they were a pretty good match for both.
The girlfriend was definitely more attractive.
Well, at least more the Hollywood sense of attractive. I think she's, she's just as attractive as a non-Hollywood person is, very much so. But you're not gonna, you get
to see her boobs.
Well, Oh, like side, like not like exact on there. Enough to at least get you to know that she is naked in that scene and there's a camera on them in there. So.
Yeah, and then later on when she's editing her photos.
I guess so. I never count that because I assume that you're not sure if it's that actual actress or if it's a photo double in those cases.
Okay.
So
body double.
Yeah, I didn't count that stuff as actual. But and you get to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt naked if you count the scanner.
Yeah, there's the full body scanner.
The full body scan, which shows his full body.
I'm pretty sure that was included on purpose because that itself was a fiasco.
Again, it was a thing that Oliver Stone's putting out there and saying, "Look at the invasion of privacy that you're going through on this."
Because that was its own fiasco a couple years ago.
Have you seen his theater turn off your phone message? I can't remember what theater it plays at. It was playing at some theater. It was actually I think it was the Cinemark theaters. I went there for something else. I don't usually go there, and it's Oliver Stone, and it's telling you to turn off your cell phones, but also saying you shouldn't even have cell phones because everyone's tracking you with everything you got. The government can like just being crazy. Oliver Stone going with that. So it was a funny thing, but also getting his point across. So that same thing in watching this movie, Oliver Stone got to go on that and just be like, look at all this invasion of privacy that's around you everywhere, and getting to point that out in addition to telling the story. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Good job with all of the cast there. It was really weird seeing. I think Melissa Leo did a good job as the one reporter. Zachary Quinto, I get him as that reporter, but seeing the documentary, it's still a little bit of a disconnect. He doesn't seem
a little too aggressive.
He doesn't seem like the same personality in that one. Tom Wilkinson seems like the exact personality for the character he's playing in there. So I thought that was a good match for them. And then I don't really know the CIA officials to know how good those ones are, but I also thought it was interesting that they didn't put a mole on Joseph Gordon-Levitt's neck in the same position that Edward Snowden does. I only noticed this because Snowden has a mole on his neck the exact same place that I do. So I was looking at that and being like, interesting. I could cosplay as him if I wanted to.
Yeah, it's like that.
But Joseph Gordon-Levitt has one on the other side of his neck.
It's like, wasn't your mole on the other side? It's like, wait, I have a mole?
Anyway, it was just a little thing where like they could have if they really wanted to, but it's not really important at all, and no one really knows. So it's the nitpicking things. It was like to me it was a Robert De Niro thing. If you're doing a Robert De Niro biopic, like you kind of have to have the mole in the right place.
Yeah,
that one, but I guess that one's more known. So star ratings on this one.
I'm gonna go 3.5.
That's actually what I did.
Yeah,
exactly 3.5. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But again, I think mostly because it's not the documentary. So
yeah,
I'm already fell in love with that one. But do love it because I love the subject matter, and I think they did it in a good way. So we'll see if more people go out and see it. It doesn't need to make a ton of money because they're not looking for a sequel, but it should hopefully make money because you want Oliver Stone not to be losing money on his films. And
it does have a pretty good though slightly complicated message.
Yeah,
overall, it really does a somewhat fair job of giving you the two halves of this story.
Yeah.
The argument for not surveilling all of the American people or really the entire world, and then the argument for it. Yep. You kind of
safety versus freedom.
Yeah.
And thing. So, because it's that balance thing. You can either have 100% of one, 100% of the other, and then you start losing one or the other if you're trying to be more secure or be more free. That's kind of also the thing with the Apple and Android argument too. I mean, you get the customizability of Android, and you can do more that you want on there, but then it also makes it more prone to failure because you've got more people programming for it in different versions.
Yeah, and then Apple 50,000 different versions of it.
Apple's got their gatekeeper. They only let they are much more stringent on what's in their app store, and you can only download from that. So it's more restrictive in that way.
It's only one operating system.
Yeah. So it's that same. That's the similar kind of thing of that balance that we've got there. So. And then there's gun control stuff on there too. There's the liberty of having guns or the security of people not having guns, but then there's the security balance and all the thoughts with that.
There are only certain people having guns.
Yeah, and it's just, but all these arguments, they can kind of tie into those ones. The idea of freedom versus security. I've been listening to a biography of Benjamin Franklin, and he talks about it in that one. It's so as far back as the beginning of America, this has been a topic of discussion. So it's now just even bigger now because we've got the digital information age, and there's so much more information that can be gathered from people, and so it's a bigger argument now because we've got so much at stake. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching this. If you've got any comments about the film, write to us at magicapetv@gmail.com. If you're watching on YouTube, comment in the comment section below. Let us know what you think. And if there's any movies coming up that you want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll make sure to see them. Thanks for watching. Bye.